In this video, we are going to create an application that will remove backgrounds from simple images like this one over here. This is an image of a dog that I got from Pixabay, and with the help of this image, I'm going to demonstrate how this application works. So first of all, I'm going to drag and drop the image into the drop zone, and we have a confirmation that our image has been processed. And we also have an auto download functionality. So now we can compare the result, the output, with the input, and it's looking quite good. However, as mentioned before, this is an application that will work with simple images where we can simply, in a very easy way, distinguish the background from the dog in this case, all right? So I just want to say that this application will be split into two parts. The first part is the backend part, and we will code in Django and Django Rest Framework. And the second part will be dedicated to React.js. So without further ado, let's get started. If you like JavaScript, React.js, Python, and Django content, make sure to check out my Instagram. I post content with code snippets, so maybe you can find something interesting for yourself. Alright guys, so this is the plan for this part of the application, the backend part. And yeah, we basically went through the overview of what we are building in the intro. So right now, let's focus on point number 2, the overview of the base app settings. So basically, we are going to take a look at what have I done so far. And I started a blank Django project. And yeah, basically I added an images application to this project because it will be necessary for point number 4, where we are going to create an image class and override the save method in order to upload images and remove backgrounds from them. Okay, so now we can proceed and go to the settings py file. I'm just going to mention that I also created a super user, so I'm already logged in into the Django administration. And now let's go to the installed apps list. So I see, as you can see, the images application has been already included in the installed apps list. We also have a REST framework for building our API, and we have course headers that will enable us to communicate between our backend, between our API origin, and the front end, the React application origin. Okay, so I also set course allow all origins to true. So basically, other origins also could interact with our API. And then in the middleware, I added course middleware above the common middleware. And this is important in order for the course headers to work. I also configured the media file. So we have a media root and a media URL, and also an empty media folder in our project. So basically, whenever we upload an image, we are going to store it in the initial folder images, and then we are going to process it and store the new image in a separate folder. Both of these directories are going to be, of course, in the media folder. All right, so yeah, I think, okay, one more thing. In the URLs py file, I included the media settings in the URL patterns. And now I think we are done. We can go back to our to-do, and we can set the overview of the base app settings as done. Over here, we have install necessary dependencies and add them to the settings. So basically, this point has already been taken care of. We done it in point number 2. However, I'm going to show you what exactly you need to install. So the requirements txt is very, very long. However, some of these packages come with other ones. So what you need to install is, starting from Django Rest Framework, Then let's put in Django course headers. So it's Django course and then headers. We will also need cvzone for the removal of the background. And cvzone works with media pipe, so we need to add media pipe as well. NumPy and pillow. Okay, and basically this should do the trick. If I missed something, we are going to add it. All right, so now we can go to our to-do list and check this as done as well. All right, so now we have the interesting part. We are going to actually take care of removal of the backgrounds. So first of all, we need to create an image model, and then we need to override the save method. So let's jump into the models py file, and let's add a class called image, and this inherits from models.model, and I'm going to set two fields. The first one is going to be EMG as image, and this is going to be the initial image. So going to be an image field, and we want to set an upload to path to images. All right, upload to images. All right, and the other one is going to be the processed image. So I'm going to name it rm as removed bg or rm bg image, like this. And this is also going to be a models image field, and upload to is going to be to images rmbg. All right, so both of those directories is going to be in the media folder. Okay, so in the images we will have initial images, and in the images rmbg we will have the ones that are processed. So now we can provide a string representation method, and I'm going to return just the ID. All right, so as the next step, let's override the save method. So we will need to bring in pill in order to load the image. All right, so I'm going to set pill emg is equal to, and then I'm going to import pill, and I'm going to do it like this, not from pill import image, because there could be a conflict between the class name and the image that I would import from pill. So I'm going to write it like this: pill image, and then open. And here I'm going to put in self image. So we are referring to this image field. And now, as the next step, I'm going to transform this pill image into an NumPy array. So I need to bring in NumPy from NumPy, import NumPy as NP. All right, and emg equal to NP array, and we are going to pass in the pill image. All right, and as the next step, we want to instantiate a segmentor to remove the background and then replace it with a different one. So in order to do this, we actually need to import selfie segmentation from cvzone. All right, so from cvzone selfie segmentation module, we want to import selfie segmentation, right? And now we can instantiate a segmentor. Segmentor is equal to selfie segmentation. And now we can finally remove the background from this particular image. So let's do this. rmbg is equal to segmentor, and then remove bg, and we want to pass in the image that we want to remove the background from. So in this case, this one. Then we want to specify what color we want to replace the background that we are removing. So I'm going to put in green. So this is 0 for red, 255 for green, and for blue 0. And then we need to add a threshold, and I'm going to set it as 0 for now. And that we will experiment a little bit later with the threshold, so you know exactly how this works. For now, let's leave it at 0 for. Now we need to create a buffer to write the contents to a file a little bit later, all right? So in order to do this, I'm going to import bytes.io. From IO, import bytes.io, and buffer is equal to bytes.io. All right, so we want to convert our image, RMBG image, now to a pillow image. So I'm going to put in output emg is equal to pill image, and then from array, and I'm going to pass in RMBG. All right, now we can write output image, save, and pass in the buffer, as well as specify the format, and let's set it to PNG, like this. Okay, so now we need to get the value which will be stored in our RMBG EMG field. So we can get it by specifying a variable val is equal to, and then buffer get value. All right. Now we need to set a file name. All right. So I'm going to import OS and set a file name equal to OS path OS path. What happened over here? I'm going a little bit too fast. Val buffer get value, and okay, file name is equal to OS path base name, and here we are going to provide the name of the image, so we are going to refer to this field again and import OS. Okay, now everything should be working. Sorry about this, guys. So let's pass in self image and the name of the image. All right, so right now we have the file name. However, we just want the name without the extension. So name, and then we can do something like this: file name, and then split, and we want to split it by the dot. So the name is going to be the name of the file, and over here we have the extension. All right. And finally, we can save the image into the field as bytes. So in order to do this, we need to import content file from Django. So from Django, and then core files base, we want to import content file. All right. So right now, we simply need to refer to our RMBG image. So self RMBG image, and we need to provide the file name. So I'm going to use the F string for this, and I'm going to begin with bgrm, and then simply put in the name that we have from over here. Okay, and we are going to add png at the end, then content file, and here I'm going to pass in the value that we got from our buffer, and I'm going to set save is equal to false, because we are going to save it just one line below. So super save, and then pass in the args and keyword args. All right, so this was quite a long one. So I'm going to simply save the models.py file. I'm going to go back to the terminal, and I'm actually going to run the migrations because I haven't done it yet. So Python manage py make migrations. And Python manage py migrate. All right. So yeah, let's test it out. So first of all, we actually need to register image in the admin. So as you can see right now, we don't have any images, and we need to run the development server. Okay. There is no images section, so I'm going to jump into the admin from .models. We want to import image and then admin site register image. Okay, so let's see if this works. So I'm going to add an image. I'm going to select the dog one, and actually, as you can see, I didn't specify RMBG image as optional, so we can't actually save our image right now. So I'm going to jump back to the models.py, and over here I'm going to set this as blank is equal to true. All right, and then we will need to run the migrations again. All right, and I'm going to try this one more time. And we have image field file is not callable, so there is somewhere a mistake. And yeah, I didn't call save over here. So this is the mistake, okay? So we specified save is equal to false. However, I just didn't include the save, okay? We wanted to save this particular field with this contents, with this file name, and actually save it over here. However, I forgot to include the save method. So my mistake, sorry about this. And let's try it one more time. So dog one, and it worked. So let's see, what do we have over here? And there is our dog. Okay, so this is working. Great. Now let's play a little bit with the threshold. So I'm going to, instead of setting it to 0, 4, I'm going to set it to 1. So let's see if we go to images and add a new one. I'm going to use the same exact dog, save and continue. And over here we have just a green background. So it basically removed everything. What would be if I would put 0, 0.7, right? So again, let's go to add. We are going to select our dog one, save and continue editing. And as you can see, it's a little bit smoothened. Okay, it looks actually much better. Let's add threshold for 0.9 maybe. Let's try it out. All right. And it's very smoothing, however, maybe a little bit too much. Okay, so 0.9 is definitely too much. So I'm going to go with 0.4. And yeah, this is basically the threshold. So if you want to play around, you can simply change the setting of the threshold, and then maybe do some improvements into the application. For example, if there will be an initial upload and the threshold would be, let's say, 0.1, and the image wouldn't be looking that great, the edges would be too big or so, you could simply uh, do something like an additional option, cut more, and then you would simply change the threshold to 0.2, then to 0.3, and so on. So this is something just to keep in mind. I'm going to set the threshold as 0.4, and we can jump back to our to-do MD. So right now we have this point set as done as well. And now we can proceed and we can create a serializer and a view set. All right. So in the images application, I'm going to create a new folder called API. And over here, I'm going to create two additional files called serializers UI and then the views UI. So we will begin with the serializers. And yeah, let's bring in from the REST framework serializers. So from REST framework, we want to import serializers, and then from our models, we want to import the image model. So from .models, we want to import image. Now let's set a class called image serializer, which inherits from serializers .model serializer like this. Class meta is equal to, and then we need to specify what model we are referring to. So we are referring to the image one, and then we want to specify the fields. So in our case, it's going to be the ID and the EMG, the initial image itself. Okay, we don't need anything else. So I'm going to simply save the serializers py, and now we can proceed and go to the views py, and here we are going to create our image view set. So from REST framework, we want to import view sets, okay, and from .serializers, we want to import our image serializer, and now we can create a class called image view set, which inherits from viewsets.model view set like this. Okay, we can specify the query set. In order to do it, we need to bring in our image model. So from .models, we want to import image. So image objects all. And then we need to provide the serializer class, which is going to be equal our image serializer. And basically, this will take care of creating new, oh, sorry, this over here, I made a mistake. Image view sets, view set like this, image view set. Yeah, and this class basically will take care of creating new images, updating, and deleting. But what we actually need is not listing the images. We don't want this. We don't want to update any images, and we don't want to delete any images. So what we want to do is actually download a particular image. And for this, we will need a separate method that we are going to create within this image viewset class with the help of action decorator. So from REST framework decorators, we want to import our action decorator, and we are going to define a new method with this action decorator. So first of all, let's put in action. We want to specify the methods to get, and we want to get a particular image. So we want to set the detail to true. All right. So I'm going to explain this in a second. Here I made a mistake. Action. All right. So now we can write a download method. You can name it any way you want. So basically, how this works let me just put in self request and primary key. I'm going to put in pass for now. So if we have this detail is equal to true, we are automatically referring to the primary key. So over here, we will have a path that is API first, API, then images. And this is for creating new images, for listing the images. And then if we want to interact with a particular image, we will have API images and then the primary key. Okay. So with the action decorator, if we specify the detail is equal to true, like over here, we will have a similar situation. So we will have API images pk and then the name of our method. So it will be download like this. Okay. So in the front end, we are going to refer to this particular endpoint. All right. So what I'm going to do is maybe I'm going to keep this just so you can have a reference. I'm going to put it maybe over here. And now I'm going to actually focus on this download method. You can also write it a little bit different, like download self and then args and keyword args. All right. So this would also work. So as an argument, you would have a request, and as a keyword argument, you would have the primary key. So anyways, we can continue by getting the object. So I'm going to write instance is equal to self get object. All right. And then we need the image path. So image path is equal to, and then we want to refer to instance, and then rmbg emg. Let's see. Yeah, rmbg emg. Okay, so we want to get the path of this image, and then we want to open it. So emg, let's say it's equal to open, and here we need to pass in the image path and as read binary. And then we just need to set a response. And this is going to be an HTTP response. All right. And yeah, we will need a file wrapper. So let's see if I can get an auto import file wrapper from, yeah, WSGI ref util. Okay. Neat. And we are going to wrap our image. And then we will specify the content type to image ENG. All right. And now we finally need to return the response. And this should do the trick. If it won't work in the React part, yeah, we will inspect why it didn't work, and we are going to simply fix this. For now, let's leave it as it is, and let's register this image view set. So I'm going to go to the main project folder, and over here I'm going to create an API folder again. And yeah, right here, I'm going to add an URLs UI file. All right, so here we are going to register our view set. So first of all, let's grab the image view set from images API and then views. We want to import our image view set. As the next step, we want to grab the router from Django Rest Framework. So from Rest Framework, we want to import routers. And then let's also bring in from Django URLs path and include. path from Django URLs, of course, import path and include. All right. So routers are used with view sets, and basically they take care of the necessary logic based on the given request. So right now we can set a router is equal to routers, and we are going to use the default router. And now we are going to register our view set. So router register, and we are going to provide the images path. So it's going to be basically available, the path, the view image view set will be available under this path. Okay, so images, and then we just need to pass in the image view set. All right, and of course it's going to be available as images and pk, okay, and also download. Right, so these all paths will be taken care of with with these lines. And yeah, it's all depending on the request type that we are going to use. So now we can simply write URL patterns, and we are going to simply include this router URLs. All right, so include router URLs like this. All right, so we also need to jump into the main URLs py file, and here under the path API, we are going to also include the core API URLs like this. All right, so let's go ahead and save this, and yeah, let's go to our API path, and let's see if this is working. And here are our API images. So I forgot about the slash, and now everything should be all right. And yeah, there it is. And here are our serialized images that we uploaded so far. Okay, so we uploaded only one image, so that's why it's looking the same. But we have basically 4 records. If we go to the admin, we should have 4 objects, and there it is. All right, so yeah, I think we can finish off over here, and we will continue in the next part where we are going to build a React application and interact with our API that we created in this part. Thank you for this one. Have a great day, and see you soon. Alright guys, welcome to the second and final part of a tutorial on creating an application that will remove background from simple images, and this application is written in Django Rest Framework, and React.js. So in the previous part we took care of the backend, we created our Django project, and we've set up an API with the help of Django Rest Framework. And in this one we will focus on the front end and coding in React.js in order to develop this pretty simple and pretty cool functionality. So I already started a React.js project. I did it with the use of npx create react app. I named my application frontend, and this is how it looks so far. So we have an alert and a drop zone in the middle of the screen in a blue background. And yeah, let's jump into Visual Studio Code, and let's see what have I done in details. And I just want to say that I didn't do much. So let's begin from the app.js component, the main component. And over here, we simply have a wrapper div with a class named page, and we've placed a basic drop zone component. This basic drop zone is placed in the components directory. We will take a look at it in just a second. I also added a page class to this div, and I've placed the styling for the page and the drop zone directly in the index CSS just to save some time. So over here we have the styling for the page, and then this is the styling for the drop zone. All right, so as the next step, let's actually take a look at the basic drop zone component. What I've placed over here is an alert, and this alert is located in the UI folder of the components directory, and it looks like this currently, so we need to do some work over here as well. And then I also placed the link to our API. Then we have this basic drop zone with the alert component nested and the drop zone text. Then we also see some instruction blocks for us to finish this this application. So we basically need the state for displaying alert, because initially we don't want to see it. We only want to see it if we fail or succeed with the upload. Then we have the drop zone setup, and we need to send the image with the background, and then we need to get the image without the background. All right. So the one step missing is to install the drop zone. So we will use React drop zone package, and you simply need to copy this npm install -- save React drop zone in order to do it. All right. Let's now focus on the state for displaying the alert. Okay, so we are going to use the useState hook for this to work. So we will have an alert and a function to update this alert. So it's going to be called setAlert, and we get it from the useState, and we need to specify the initial value. So what I'm going to do is to pass an object over here where we will have isVisible, and initially isVisible is going to be set to false, right? So initially we don't want to see the alert. The next step to set is the type. We will have two types, the success type or the error type. So initially we're going to place in null. And also we will have the message, which will also be initially set to null. Having this, we can actually conditionally display the alert. So only if alert is visible, we want to see the alert. So right now, the alert is false, so the alert shouldn't be visible, and it's not. If we change this back to true, it's going to be visible. All right, so let's improve this a little bit, and let's simply destructure the isVisible type message. Let's get those from alerts. So alert, and then we want to get the isVisible. We want to get the type and also the message. All right. So now we don't need the alert. We can use isVisible directly, and this will work as well. Okay, so the first point has been taken care of. Let's save this and let's see if it really works. And it seems to work. Let's change this back to false. And yeah, we have a confirmation that this actually gets the job done. So as the next step, let's set up the drop zone. Over here, we are going to also use a hook, but from the React drop zone, and it's going to be called use drop zone. So I'm going to have a auto import. Okay, so over here we are also going to pass in some configuration, but let's get something out of this use drop zone. We will need get root props, then get input props, and is drag active for this particular project. So the get root props is a function that gets the props required for the drag and drop and uses them on any element. And then we have the get input props, and this is also a function that simply gets the props for click and key down behavior and uses it on an input. And then we have this is drag active, and this basically tells us if we are dragging a file into a drop zone, and if we are, this is true, and in other case it's false. Okay, so these elements are necessary for our project to work. And as mentioned before, over here we are also going to pass in some setup. So we will have an onDrop function that is going to be created in just a second. And let's also specify multiple, and let's set it to false. So now we are going to create this onDrop function. So onDrop, and here we are going to specify what is going to happen once we drop a file, in our case image, into the drop zone. So we will need to restart the set alert, and we want to restart it to the initial values. Okay, so the set alert will change, hopefully to true, somewhere over here or here. Okay, but once we drop on it, we want to return to the previous value. We will see how this works in practice. So for now, let's leave it like this, and then we will have the send image function, which needs to be created. So let's create it over here. And basically, this is going to be an async function because we are going to use fetch in order to send this image, and fetch returns a promise. So we are going to handle this promise with the async await syntax. Okay, so yeah, right now let's take care of sending the image. Let's write try, and then catch, and in case of any problems, we are going to display in a console log the error, and we are going to set alert to is visible true. We are going to specify the type to error, and the message going to be, I don't know, oops, something went wrong. All right, so this is the easier part for taking care of this send image functionality. Now let's look into the try block. We are sending an image, so we will need a form data. I'm going to create a variable form data is equal to new form data. What I'm going to add to this form data is the image, and we need to take a look at the name in our Django project. So let's go to images, and yeah, need to grab the same name. So we are referring to a particular field over here. Then we want to pass in the image itself and the image name. All right, so you can play around this and console log those values over here, image, and image name. And now let's proceed and let's get the response. So as mentioned before, we are going to use the fetch function with the async await syntax. So let's place in fetch And over here, we need to pass in the endpoint. So we are going to use our URL. I'm using backticks over here, okay? And then images. Okay, so we are now referring to a particular endpoint that we created using Django viewsets. And we need to specify the method. And this is going to be a post method. And as the body, we will have form data. All right. So now let's get a response in JSON. So we will have again await response JSON. And we will have an ID from the data, okay? An ID of the image. And this ID is going to be extremely important because by this ID, we are going to grab the image that has the background removed. So we are sending an image, saving this image. We are focusing on getting the ID of this image. And once the backend processes the image, removes the background of the image, we have the ID of the image, and now we can simply pass it to the getImage function. It's image function. We need to create it, of course, but this is basically how this works. So now I can copy getImage and move into the getImage block. All right. So over here, this is going to be, it's going to be a little bit more complicated than the send image, but only a little bit. So we will have get image. We will also use the fetch function. So we will have a promise in return from the fetch, and we will handle it with the use of async await syntax. Again, let's place in try, then catch. And yeah, let's do again console log. And again, I'm going to set alert. You can change the message for whatever you want. For example, couldn't get the image, and here you could have, for example, couldn't send the image, okay? I'm not going to do this. I'm going to focus on the try block right now. So first of all, let's again write const response is equal to fetch. And here again, I'm going to use backticks URL and then images. And right now I'm going to pass in the ID that I get from over here. So we want to reference a particular image. And let me show how this works actually. We have this API with images, and if we go to the first image, we can see actually we didn't go to the detail page. We just took a look at the picture, but we can go to the detail page, the detail endpoint by the ID. So I'm going to place 1, and there it is. And then if I go to 2, there it is as well, and 3, and so on. Okay, so this is the initial image, but we also know that we have the RMBG image, and this is the image without the background. Okay, and if we go to the API views, we have this download method. So here we specified that detail is equal to true. So this is why we see the ID. Okay, this is why we place it over here. And the download is simply the name of the method that we placed inside of the image viewset class. So hopefully this is now understandable. And let's continue. So in this case, we are going to have a method get, because we are getting an image. Okay, we are not sending an image, we are getting the image, and we need to specify the response type and set it to blob, right? So we will have a blob object containing binary data, and let's get the actual data, because right now we have a promise. Okay, so data is equal to, and then await response, then blob, response blob. All right, now we need to create a link to download. So I'm going to name this ref equal to, and then we will have window URL, then create object URL, and we are going to pass in the data. All right, as the next step, we are actually going to create a hyperlink A tag. Okay, so I'm going to name this download link is equal to, and then document, we are going to create this element, create element, and we need an A tag, okay, for the hyperlink. All right, now we are going to set the download link to ref. Okay, so now the download link is set, and we need to set the attribute of the download link. Download link set attribute download, in order for us to have this download functionality, and then we need to provide some name of the file. So I'm going to put in removed bg emg then png. Okay, so we also need to add this download link to our page. So download link body, and then append child, and we want to, of course, not download link, we are adding download link. So we are adding download link to the document body. Right, sorry about the confusion over here. And then we want this download link to auto click. Okay, auto click. So basically we got the image, we go through all the steps that we mentioned, and at this moment it's like we are clicking this download link. Okay, but we want to do it automatically. And finally, we have to remove the download link from the DOM. So document, then body, remove child, and we want to pass in download link. And the last step is going to be to set the alert, and this is why we need this reset of the set alert in the onDrop function. So whenever we upload many images, it will get resetted each time we simply drop a file or image in this case. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to simply copy this set alert, and I'm just going to adjust it a little bit. So this is for the error, and over here let's set this to success, and let's put in successfully downloaded the image. All right, so we basically have everything ready except for the alert styling and for the drop zone itself. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to paste the code for the drop zone. Right, so we have the div with the get root props. We have the class name dropzone provided. We saw it in the index CSS. And then we have an input with the get input props. And then we have a conditional display of some text using the ternary operator. So if is drag active, we see drop some images. In other case, we see drag and drop image to remove the background, right? So before we take care of the alert and see if everything is working, let's simply save this and go to our React application. And we have something wrong, maybe because we don't see anything. So above error occurred, cannot access on drop before initialization. All right. So we need to simply grab this on drop and place it above and the use of the use drop zone. Right? Let's see if this will help. Yeah. Now if we refresh the page, all the alerts are gone. Now we can simply take a look at this drag and drop functionality. However, let's finish also the alert. So I'm going to go to our return statement. And over here, I'm going to copy and paste the alert with some props. So here, let me save this. Okay, and we are passing some props, the color and the message. So if the type is a success, the type of the alert, we will have a green color. If it's not, so if we are dealing with an error type, we will see a red alert. And then we are setting the message to the message. Okay, the message that we are setting. Okay, so for example, this one. All right, so now we need to actually go to the alert. And again, I'm going to copy and paste and save. And here we just provided some additional styling and we passed the structurized props, so the color and the message. Okay, so this is basically what we are passing: color, okay, and the message. So we are setting the background color to the color we passed. We are adding some padding, margin bottom, border radius, some width, and then we have the message. All right, so let's save this and let's see if this will actually work. I'm going to drag and drop it and we get an error. Oops, something went wrong. I'm going to open the developer tools. I'm going to go to the console and we have cannot read properties of undefined. Undrop. Okay, let's take a look. So basic drop zone line 22 send image, and of course, so over here we have the send image function which takes in an image, but over here we didn't pass the file, so we need to do it. We can call it image file, whatever, but it has to be passed. So now let's save this and our okay, so now let's take a look. And form data is not a function. All right, let's go back. Form data, and of course it should be form data append. Sorry about this, guys. Okay, now let's take a look at it. And again, oops, something went wrong. This time a response blob is not a function. Line 62. Response blob. Yeah, over here we need to also put in await. Okay, so fetch returns a promise, and yeah, I think this is it. And there it is. Yes, it worked. Okay, so do it one more time. You saw that the alert disappeared. So this was this reset functionality that we provided over here. Okay, and we have the image again. All right, guys, so this is working, and I think we can finish this project over here. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you in the next one. Take care and bye bye.